This has the possibility to change everything for the New Jersey Devils. As the offseason continues to roll on, we'll look at some of the biggest questions the Devils have headed into the 2025-2026 season. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to Devils Digest. I'm your host, Ryan the Gosiker, here with you, as always, bringing you the latest, greatest Devils content as per usual. Before we get into the program, I want to give you a chance to be a subscriber to the channel. We need your help to get to 1,000 by opening night. All right, we need your help. We're over the 700 plateau. Got to get to 1,000 by opening night. So we need you to hit that subscribe button, and let's get into the program. Now, again, as we mentioned, Devils offseason continuing to roll. We're getting close to training camp. We're a few weeks away, maybe even getting closer to a couple weeks away, okay? I'm not quite sure on the official start date. I'll have that for you next video. But the Devils offseason continuing to roll on, and today I wanted to take you through the 5 biggest question marks heading into the Devils season, and can they be answered? So we're going to run through them. Again, these are not mine. I found this in an article, so I just want to run through them and see, and I'll give you guys what I think, okay? And I want what you guys think. I want you to leave in a comment in this video, okay? So if you agree, if you think it's a good question mark, then feel free to, say that. If you think it's a bad one, be my guest. Again, I did not write these, so let's get into it. I think first and foremost, we'll start at number 1, okay, because it's the biggest. It is the only one that really matters. If this one fails, if this one falls, it really takes the other 4 and makes them mostly irrelevant, okay? And it's, can Jack Hughes remain healthy for 82 games? Now, here's where I stand on this. I really don't believe that question is fair because I don't think there's any chance he plays 82 games. Can Jack Hughes be healthy for, I think if you look at it, the 24-year-old consecutive 62-game seasons, can he be healthy for 72 games? Okay, let's start there before we start talking about him playing every single game of the season, because I just think that's unrealistic at this point. Can he get to 72, 75 games, okay, and make that? I understand the point of the question, okay? It's, Jack Hughes has been injured. There's, you guys have left a lot of comments about it. Some in favor of Jack, he's still young, this, that, and the other thing. And some that are just like, dude, he's basically a pillow, okay? So, again, this is the number one question surrounding the Devils is really, can Jack Hughes remain healthy? Forget the total number of games, okay, as long as it's above that 62 that he's played the last 2 years each. Okay, he hasn't played 62 total games the last 2 years. He's played 62 games each season, okay? Can Jack Hughes stay healthy for this team? Because they need him, okay? They 100% need him. Wherever you think this team's ceiling is, they can't reach it without Jack Hughes. So that's the reality of the situation. He's got to be healthy for this group. Second question, what does the Devils' goaltending depth look like, right? When I remember doing videos at the beginning before the offseason really even got started, talking about how it was, basically Jake Allen was a free agent. I don't foresee the Devils picking up his salary, all right? So this screams Nico Daws becomes the backup. Allen goes to another team. Allen takes this 5-year deal, $9 million. Instead of getting his $4.5 million per year, he gets his, I think it's 1.8 over the course of 5 years, okay? So spreading out that money a good amount so that the Devils could still have a low AAV on their cap, okay? So he did that unselfishly, but the question now is you have Markstrom, Allen, and Daws all on the roster. One of them is going to have to be down. It's obviously going to be Nico Daws. I'm not here to debate any of that, but the quote from Tom Fitzgerald is, you see how often goaltenders are going down. So he's not necessarily, having depth in the net is crucial. Nico is a guy, he played, 5-6 games last year. Definitely played too early in his career. But out of necessity, we really like Nico, but feel like having his depth makes us a better team. And, we saw that last year with Jacob Markstrom went down for those 5 weeks. He only missed, I believe it was 3 weeks of game time. Or 2 weeks of game time, whatever it was, based on how the schedule was. It was right around the Four Nations tournament. So, but at the end of the day, they had to call Nico Daws up. He played well, in my opinion. He played good enough. He did what he had to do. So I've kind of warmed up to the idea of keeping him down in the minors. And, if he can play well in the minors and starts to garner some trade value, I think you have to look at it because he's obviously not going to be here long term. And you got the kid Yeagerov down there. All right, he's coming. He's coming up the pipeline. There's a couple other guys that the Devils really, have created some log jams on their roster, and they need to clean some of them out, to be completely honest with you. So this could be the final year of Nico Daws. Again, if he plays well enough in the minors, garner some interest around the league, maybe they trade him for a piece, and not a big piece, but you know what I'm saying. Something that they need. Okay, but going into the season, I think it's a great idea to have those three goalies, as long as Daws understands fully and isn't, too upset that he's going to be starting the year in Utica. Like that's just the reality of the situation. So if he's okay with that, good to go. And I know some people will say, well, it doesn't really matter if he's okay with it, because that's what the team needs anyway. So, and I agree with that to an extent. Okay, obviously, goalies in bad mind spaces will play terrible, and ones that are in better and more accepting mind spaces, they're able to play a little bit better, in my opinion. It kind of frees up the brain a little bit. So I think the Devils' goaltending depth looks awesome with these three guys. Okay, because again, if Nico Daws is coming up this year, it's not going to be for a ton. Okay, which you didn't expect him to be in many games this year anyway if he was the pure backup. So I think it all works for New Jersey. Can any of the new additions solidify the top six, right? We've been talking about ad nauseum. You've heard it not only here, but you've heard it on any network, content site, anything has been about who is playing next to Jack Hughes, right? It's one of the bigger questions, and it's been the biggest criticism in what is, described here, in quotes, as quote unquote a lackluster offseason with no true top six wingers signed. Now, again, part of that is there wasn't a ton out there. So if you were in love with the guys that were free agents, you should have gone and got them, because there's not 100 of them out there, But now you're looking at names like Gritsyuk, okay, Dadonov, Connor Brown. Can either one of them find their way on the wing next to Hughes or Nico Hischier? I think Dadonov's a name that you've heard a lot that could certainly do that. Could Connor Brown take Stefan Nason's place on Nico Hischier's line? Again, just another, I think the Devils in this realm have space and options to be able to do what they want to do and be able to move guys and be able to find the lineup that works, because they have a lot of interchangeable pieces, particularly on the forwards. And I think that's what they need to do, is they just need to plug and play guys, and whatever works, wherever there's chemistry, they need to find it and go with it. So, again, I don't know if, we'll see by the end of the year if Dadonov or Brown has that big impact that potentially could solidify that top six. Has the team's depth been solved? It's interesting. At the time that this article was written, and I believe it's the same way, now the Devils have parted with 6 players: Nate Bastian, Justin Dowling, Erik Haula, Kurtis Lazar, Daniel Sprong, and Tomas Tatar. There could be other ones if there are. Just forgive me. Cody Glass was re-signed to be the team's third line center. We'll see how that goes. He did reach a career high in goals last year. Okay, Paul Cotter and Stefan Nason each reached new single career high in goals as well. Those are 3 players. They could play a consistent level of hockey. If they can play a consistent level of hockey through 82 games, it gives the Devils a good third line, right? I mean, that would be a solid bunch if they're able to put it all together, and then you figure out the fourth line from there. So I don't know if it's been solved. I don't necessarily agree with that, but it certainly has been addressed, and they definitely have more names in the hat. Whether they're better or not is to be seen, but they certainly have more names in the hat in that bottom 6 to be able to help them produce more than they did last year. And the final one is, what kind of player will Gritsyuk be in the the NHL? Sorry about that. There's going to be an adjustment period, okay? But the last 2 years, all you hear, I can't wait till Gritsyuk gets here. I can't wait till he gets here. Is he going to get out of his contract early and come play for the playoffs and this, that, and the other thing? It's going to be very interesting to watch the growing pains for him, and I hope there aren't any. That would be lovely for all of us. So we'll see how that kind of goes from there. But those are the 5 big questions surrounding New Jersey this season. Again, can Jack Hughes remain healthy? What does the Devils' goaltending depth look like? Can any of the new additions solidify the top 6? Has the team's depth been solved? And what kind of player will Arseniy Gritsyuk be in the NHL? So I appreciate everybody for listening, for tuning in. Again, that's just my opinion based on those questions written by somebody else. Okay, so if you have any comments, please leave one. And I appreciate you guys for listening, for watching, however you're consuming this content. We appreciate you here at Devil's Digest. You guys are the Devil's Digest community, and we love to have you guys being a part of that. So leave us a comment, subscribe to the channel, help us get to 1,000 by opening night. We appreciate you, and we'll catch you next time on Devil's Digest.